A daunting aspect of completing a PhD is deciding what career pathway to choose. With many options available, how do you decide which direction to take? Hello, my name is Marie Kavallaris, and I've dedicated my academic career to cancer research. Today, I want to share my journey and some of the things I learnt on the way. My research has identified how some tumours grow and spread, how tumours develop resistance to therapy, and I applied this knowledge to develop effective and less toxic cancer therapies using nanotechnology. My research has led to industry and clinical collaborations to translate my discoveries to practice. So I want to start with this quote by Don Williams, which says, "The road of life twists and turns, and no two directions are ever the same. Yet our lessons come from the journey, not the destination." So today I want to share some of those twists and turns of my career and hopefully give you some insight into a career in academic research. So I had an unusual start to my career. I left high school in year 10 and started a pathology technician certificate at TAFE, and this involved 1 year full-time and 2 years part-time. But because I was so young, the part-time component was meant to get practical experience, but no pathology lab was going to employ a 16-year-old with no experience. So in many ways, this obstacle was also an opportunity, because my very first job was at the University of Sydney in a research laboratory. And here I was working both auditory research and brain research. And this gave me some real insight into the opportunities in science, the possibility to do a degree, the possibility to do honours and a PhD. Now, after spending 2.5 years at the University of Sydney, I was then recruited to the Cancer Council at the University of New South Wales, where I started my career in cancer research. And during that time, I'd finished my TAFE course and I enrolled at the University of Technology, Sydney part-time, because by that stage I'd moved out of home and had responsibilities. And I've added a little note here saying twist, and this is because we can't always predict what's going to happen in life. And in the first year of my time at UTS, I was 21 years old and I was diagnosed with cancer. And I had to go through fairly intense therapy, but I was fairly determined that I really wanted to do my degree. And despite taking 6 months off, I was able to finish the degree in 5.5 years part-time. I did this always knowing that I really wanted to pursue a PhD. And I enrolled in a master's and then converted that to a PhD. And halfway through my PhD, there was another one of those twists in life. My brother unfortunately got diagnosed with cancer, but he was less lucky and passed away while I was doing my PhD. So this made me really realise that we need more research and we need better treatments for people with cancer. But when I finished my PhD, I really was a little bit lost. I think it was such a big undertaking. I thought, well, now what do I do? I've got this degree. Although I thought about a career, I think I didn't have the confidence to think I could pursue a career in research or be successful at it. So I thought about my options. Being a keen underwater photographer, I thought, I could become an underwater professional photographer. But I think that was more me hiding that I didn't want to risk failing as a medical researcher, although I did love my photography. The second option was actually to give medical research my best shot and see how I go, because there's always other options if things don't go the way you think they're going to go. So I wanted to just point out that, research success has many paths, and it's just something to always keep in mind. And as I mentioned before, sometimes one obstacle can lead to an opportunity. So when I finished my PhD, I worked for a year to finish off some papers. And then I was very fortunate to attract an international agency for research on cancer research training fellowship. And I got to work with a pioneer in cancer research, Professor Susan Horwitz, who discovered how the drug Taxol worked and has really gave me amazing opportunities while I was working at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. And it also gave me the confidence that I could potentially be successful in medical research. I received fantastic mentorship from Susan and also others who took me under their wing to help me. And this really made me think, okay, I want to give this a go. So I returned to Australia at the Children's Cancer Institute and started setting up an independent career. Now, when I told one of the leaders that I wanted to set up an independent lab, they patted me on the back and they said, "That's fantastic. You've got to find your own funding." And so I was sort of sitting there going, "Oh, this is going to be a challenge. Where do I start?" But I was successful in attracting some funding. I started getting honours students and PhD students. I also started expanding the breadth of the work I did. So I also wanted to give back to the community. So I became convener of the New South Wales branch of the Australian Society for Medical Research. And it's allowed me to network much more broadly outside the cancer research area. And I was able to attract my first NHMRC fellowship as well. And during this time, we discovered a new form of drug resistance that allowed us to investigate and study. Now, around mid-career, which was 10 years later, my lab had grown and we developed therapeutic strategies to overcome resistance. I established and co-directed the Australian Centre for Nanomedicine, which I still co-direct. I was elected as president of the Australian Society for Medical Research, so this really allowed me to advocate at the national level for research funding for medical research, but also to extensively network. And I was able to attract additional fellowships to support my salary and went up the ladder in my academic career. And then now in more senior career, my team's had a number of discoveries. I've just highlighted some of them here. We've identified how some cancer cells metastasize and spread. We've developed nanoparticle strategies to deliver drugs directly to tumour cells. And we've also developed a 3D bioprinting technology that's now been commercialised, but also is giving us opportunities to use this in precision medicine as well. And this has all been possible through the ability to attract extensive funding, such as program grant funding that I lead, ARC Centre of Excellence, and also be recognised by a number of awards. Now, what do I think the key ingredients were? I look back over my career and I think, well, what did I do? You don't normally look backwards. I think it's really important to have a clear vision about what you wanted to achieve. And I mean this sort of scientifically, but also professionally, but particularly scientifically, because you need to be able to take your team on that journey. The research environment I was in, I had a very supportive research environment. I had access to fantastic equipment and also expertise. Of course, money, I had to attract the money. The more money you have, the bigger your team, the more things you can do. But it's not so much the size of your team, it's more about what you can do with that money. And also networking. I cannot overemphasize the importance of networking, not just within your own profession, but also more broadly. And having mentors. Mentors were a critical part of my career, and I still use mentors. And I'm more senior in my career. I also am a mentor, but I also use mentors to help support me because they keep me on track and they challenge me. When I returned to Australia, I actually set myself a 5-year goal and I decided I was going to be firm with myself. I thought, well, if I can make it in 5 years, I will stay in medical research. If I can't, I will find another way of using my PhD degree and my skill set because you do achieve an extensive skill set when you do a PhD. So my challenges were I had to attract the funding, I had to start building a research team, I had to make sure I mentored my students and postdocs so they were successful in themselves, and many of them went on to win awards and also publish the work as well. And I think, some of the key lessons I think I also learned was your people are your most important asset. So we really need to spend time and develop our people and their opportunities to work on different projects and environments. We need to be inclusive with everyone and not be afraid to ask for help. And early in career, it's particularly important to focus on an area of research so you can make some big breakthroughs there rather than diversifying too far. And I've already mentioned mentors, which are important as sounding boards. So the other important thing is also to celebrate success, and that's something we do in my team, and it's been it's something that's just really important because research is tough and you need to celebrate when things go well. So just to leave you with an academic research career can be challenging, but there's nothing else I'd rather be doing with my life except diving sometimes. Thank you.